Welcome back to the Crucial Combo Podcast. It's your boy Kojo, and I have my wonderful wife, beautiful wife, Faith.
Hi.
What's good, y'all? What's good?
Hello.
What is really going on? What's really going on? So we got today's episode is called Evolve or Dissolve. You got to choose one. And
Evolve or dissolve. Yes.
Yeah, it's it's a phrase we both came up with, and we was like, yo, that is a really cool concept to talk about what's going on a little bit in the world, and then to talk about relationships and all that. So
I think today's show is going to be focused on relationships because we are in our 10th year of being married. We recently celebrated our anniversary at the end of May.
Take that applause.
And you know what? I was like, I think we could also offer some sound experience advice to some members of Reddit and certain relationship categories. Let's see if we can help come to some conclusion or resolve to their problems.
Let's see if we can.
Like we've got the experience that
we got to dime in. We got a calm little dime in. Move that mic up just a little bit so you can make sure your audio, just tilt that up just a little bit. Just tilt it up like that. There you go, like that. There we go. Pull that up a little bit. There we go. Perfect.
Toot it up.
Toot it. So I'm just thinking about right now before we get into it, I'm just thinking about war. What is a good war?
Absolutely none.
So that goes for that song is on my mind this morning. Of course, we got U.S. and we got Iran, we got Israel, but obviously we have the U.S. We put some strikes on Iran, and I've been just thinking about, we're hoping that things don't get too crazy, and we hoping that it dissolves before it evolves.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this strike, this well-planned, thought-out strike, I'm hoping that, so. Yeah, I hope the means to the end is a means to an end in order to dissolve. Well, wait.
No, yeah. To a dissolve, not evolve.
Yeah, we do not want the war to evolve.
We don't want the war to evolve.
We want it to dissolve. So yes, in that area, we want some.
Let's pray for the best.
Some dissolve.
We want some dissolve. So, but nonetheless, we were talking about this earlier, and then we just start talking about what we just hit our 10-year anniversary. What was that, 2 weeks ago now, right? Yeah, about 2-3 weeks ago. So it's a lot you learn after a dime in a marriage.
Yeah.
10 years is definitely a great,
it's a milestone. It's a great milestone to celebrate and to be appreciative of. I can say for myself, I have evolved.
You sure have.
I honestly feel like every day in a marriage is a choice to evolve or dissolve. So I think for us, we've been constantly evolving, and I don't think the evolution is definitely not complete. It's not done until we're done. That's how I feel about it. So
it's never done, right?
It's never done. You're always evolving. So even though we're 10 years in, and I feel like we have a really good and steady foundation, to stand on. I think, evolution is just a part of the process.
Yeah, we haven't killed each other yet.
We've gotten on each other's nerves.
No.
Don't get me wrong. We have gotten on each other's nerves. I know I get on his nerves and he gets on mine.
It's impossible to be with anybody and not get on their nerves. I mean, there might be some relationships out there where you never argue and all that, cool, but I don't think that's realistic. So but nonetheless, I think that like you said, it's definitely a milestone, and the evolution has been good. And you learn so much. I would say I'll say off top, for most people, and this, again, doesn't apply to everybody, but I'd say don't end your whole marriage after like 2 years or a year. You ain't really get into it yet. You just kind of just starting. Now, if it's crazy and you got crazy circumstances, abuse and extramarital babies and different things, hey, by all means, hit the exit button. But
move accordingly.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, as far as, we were talking earlier about, like, my wife, she was telling me about an older couple that she was talking to client and they were, you can tell
60 years in. I was like, okay, 60 years in. And I'm like, okay, so not necessarily what's the secret, but what have you learned like throughout being married for 60 years? And what did she say?
Don't sweat the small stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, but she used different words.
Okay.
She used different words, but it's just kind of, just accept them. Just accept them. Accept them for who they are. Meaning, like, don't sweat the small stuff. The small stuff really doesn't matter in the scheme of things. So it was basically that. Don't sweat the small stuff. And there's a lot of small stuff when you're married for that long. And I think just in general, us just being married for 10 years, we found a lot of small stuff.
Honestly, most of it's small. Most things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but yeah.
No. You're fine. Because I agree with you. Most of all of the stuff that we be tripping about is small stuff in the relation to the big scheme of other things that could be happening that are big, So, don't sweat the small stuff. Just kind of learn to let some things go is basically the conclusion of our conversation.
Every couple,
80-year-old, 90-something-year-old couple still arguing. Still, the wife is still nagging the husband. This needs to be fixed.
Oh man,
we got to put that clip in.
Yeah, y'all know how women know how to nag,
and the men know how to delay what they need to be doing too.
It's always something a man have to fix in the house.
Always something. So go ahead and fix it.
And the woman be on your neck.
Otherwise, we're gonna call somebody to get it fixed.
Yes.
Or we'll try to fix it ourselves.
Women be on your neck. Well, when is it gonna get done? When is it gonna get done?
We still got some things around the house, as a matter of fact, that I need to add on to that.
Well, we always have stuff, but but you know what? You got to give it to wives and girlfriends and women in general, because I ain't gonna lie. I mean, in some cases, if it wasn't for women nagging you, some things might not get done. I mean, now, not saying that we don't get things done as men, but sometimes we're on our schedule, and sometimes I guess that pressure from your significant other to go ahead and get it done. You like, because what the thing is that, like I said earlier, I'll be damned if I pay for something I can do myself. Right. And that's most men. Or even something that a man feel like he may be able to do himself. Yeah. Like, I still ain't paying nobody to do this myself. So, but that's just me saying. So, so what are some
okay, are we getting into the Reddit stories?
Yeah, we're going to get into the Reddit stories, because we want to talk about the Reddit world real quick.
So there are so many different categories on Reddit. And when you go into the relationship category, people offering advice.
Here's the difference between Reddit and YouTube, though.
Okay,
the good thing, I'm talking about between the comments. Yeah. Now, listen, Reddit comments are like, I think Reddit comments are genuinely trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Reddit comments are trying to be helpful. YouTube comments, you might get some helpful stuff in there, but YouTube comments come in there and say, what's the most reckless, crazy thing I can say? Or you might have somebody in there who just has a whole nother subject that they want to vent about. So it's always interesting. So I say all that to say that the Reddit comment world,
they do try. Trying to be helpful.
They do try. So
yeah, I've read through the comments too, and they are honestly trying to be helpful. So we're going to add to the comments. Okay?
Add on.
We're going to try to be helpful too.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the first situation. My 51 female wife of 30 years wanted to open our relationship, says a 51-year-old male, and he said no. So here's the story.
That's the husband.
Yes, this is the husband.
What's the story?
She is having a midlife crisis, lost weight, started exercising, started wearing makeup. I played with the idea of opening our relationship for a while because we are so close and have had a fantastic relationship for 30 years. She started a secret, non-sexual yet relationship behind my back, but told me about it later. Now it's 3 weeks after she told me, and I'm losing my mind. I told her I cannot go through with it at all. Her reaction was that she doesn't want to lose me and she'll stop. On one level, I feel better, but on another, I don't know what to expect. Is this just a menopause thing? And can she get over this feeling of wanting freedom again in her life? I know she loves me very much, but I am not mentally strong enough to handle this situation. So she's 51 They're both 51.
51.
They've
Okay.
been married for 30 years.
So let's recap it. So we got to
open the relationship.
We got a 51-year-old woman, both 51. They've been married since they were in their 20s, right? And she started exercising, losing weight, and she started a non-sexual relationship with someone else, probably somebody she worked with or something like that. Could be, right? Mm-hmm. And did she bring up the idea of them having an open relationship? Was that something that they both brought up or she brought up?
I'm losing my mind. Well, it's a non-sexual relationship. This is all it says. It's a non-sexual relationship, and she told him about it later.
But did they talk about having an open relationship? I thought you
not that was just in the title.
Wanted to open our relationship.
So maybe, during the process of her telling him about this relationship that she has that hasn't been sexual yet, but apparently they've been connecting on other levels.
Yeah. She's already had an affair, basically.
Yeah, probably emotionally, just not physically yet. So maybe during that conversation, maybe the conversation was brought up to have an open relationship.
So what do we think is happening here? What do you I'd say what I think is happening.
Okay, you say it.
So here's what I think is happening. What's happening now is that, okay, so here's my thing, and I'm just this is my perspective, right? You have two choices once you cross the threshold of like 45 into 50. You got two choices. You either keep yourself together or you start to go downhill, right? And in relationships, so, we're upper 40s, and you know what? We look damn good to be upper 40s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and be humble. I am a humble guy, but I ain't humble today. So here's the thing. You have a choice whether you go downhill. So if the wife started exercising and losing weight, she's probably finding her extra fly. And listen, the women, I'm speaking as a man now, the 50-year-old women of the past ain't the 50-year-old women of the day.
No.
Because, you got some women that go downhill, but you got some 51-year-olds that they look amazing.
Yes.
60-year-olds look amazing. Now, and when you're in a relationship, you gotta keep those things somewhat even keeled, because if the husband isn't keeping himself together, it sounds like a woman who's caught her flyness. She's catching her flyness into her 50s, and the husband might not be there either. Mm-hmm. Might be letting himself go, and she, that might contribute to also, it's not the only thing, looks, but I'm just saying that's part of something that
of the attraction
thing. So,
sure.
So the whole exercise and losing weight, if they're doing it together and they're on that type of time together, then you can bond a little bit more on that level. But if one person's doing it, the other person's not, that's where you start to have that divergence.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just the surface level of what I think is going on. We can get deeper into it, but what do you think?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think it's a lot of probably what you're saying. Like if there's a level of one person is keeping up with themselves, keeping in shape, looking good, starting to get compliments from the outside, from other people, and maybe it becomes a little flirty, who knows? But I don't necessarily think it's her desire to want to open a relationship. Perhaps she's feeling herself, like you said, she's feeling more attractive, maybe more sexual. But I feel like if that attention came from you, as the husband, I don't know.
No. Go ahead. Say it. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say. Just say it. Say it.
Well, yeah, I think you should work on yourself. And I mean, if there is something deeper, maybe you can have a conversation. Like if you just really want to know what's really going on, sit down and have a conversation with her, and both of you be honest about what's going on in a relationship. I don't know if it's attention that she needs.
It's always attention. It's always
attention that she needs from her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could be that, and she's getting the attention outside, and it feels good.
So let's talk about attention. So here's the thing with attention. I think that for men and women alike, attention is a difficult situation because everybody loves attention. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it's like if she's feeling if she may want the attention, but she may want it elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? She may like the attention elsewhere. So they've been together a long time. And, I think a lot of couples, as they get older, sometimes some people talk about doing like an open relationship thing. And he mentioned in the whole Reddit post about something that he's losing his mind because he doesn't want to do something that's open.
Well, he's losing his mind because he knows that she doesn't want to cheat, but at the same time, she's having like this relationship. She's having this relationship, non-sexual at this time, with another person. And I think it's just him not knowing what's going on. Yeah, just really not knowing what's going on. So his mind is running away, and he's thinking about a lot of things that who may or may not be going on. But I think an open conversation needs to be had first.
Yeah.
Before he decides or comes to any conclusion.
Yeah. About what to do and all that.
About what to do and how to move. But at the end of the day, I really feel like it's attention that she's seeking that he may not be giving to her.
Well, here's the thing. I think that also, too, I think it's a difficult thing because I think attention in relationships and just in life.
Yeah.
So we kind of live in a world now where, you can get attention everywhere, particularly women, right? So women can hop on social media and they can get validation and attention everywhere, so that's just something I think sometimes that a marriage can't solve.
Oh, attention?
Yeah, I think that's something that a marriage can't solve. So it depends on, everybody likes attention. So what I'm trying to say is that I think it depends on how far she wants to go with the attention. Does she just want attention, or does she actually want to step out and be with someone else? So that's the conversation I think he needs to have, is that do she want experiences? I mean, this is uncomfortable for a lot of people, but does she want, in a marriage, does she want to have experiences outside? And then I think a lot of couples who've been together a long time, some enter that conversation to say, you know what, do you want to open up the relationship? And it's usually, in my opinion, precipitated by one or the other. It's always one person kind of wanting it a little bit more than the other. And then that other person is kind of like considering it or not. You know what I'm saying? And then they kind of play with the idea of dealing with it or not.
And it could also be the lack of excitement in a relationship. After you've been married for 30 years, perhaps it's just not as exciting. So you're looking for something, some kind of excitement too. So, I mean, I'm saying that all of these things you can still get this level of excitement, level of attention, even in a 30, 50, 60 year marriage. I really still feel like you can.
Yeah, I agree.
All marriages can provide that, Well,
I think that I kind of disagree there. I don't think marriages can provide it. I think you have to reset how you see.
I think the partner in the marriage, I think y'all being together and working together on it, you can still have experiences that are new and exciting. And,
I agree with that.
Together, I think it can be worked on, I would say, in a marriage. I don't think that the person is the person that's gonna change it all for you.
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people are in marriages, and they feel like there's something that other person needs to do to make you happy and excited. And the problem is that life is repetitive and mundane in a lot of ways. And I think that people tend to feel like their partner is going to solve that. And the newness of any relationship, that newness can't be duplicated. So it's always like when you go out and you get divorced, or you're single again, or whatever, you break up or cheat, whatever it is. There's always a newness factor that's going to be there that is unique, that your partner cannot replicate. However, the newness always fades. That new car smell always fades.
It always fades.
So I think so to me, I'm thinking like either you gotta get over that idea of the new car smell.
Yeah.
Or you gotta talk about wanting to, have an open relationship.
Well, it's been 30 years for them, so I don't think it's a new car smell situation. I think there's something deeper that's going on there, and they need to have the discussion.
They gotta have it. What else you got there? What else you got now?
All right, moving on. Problem solved.
Right. Have a conversation. Have a conversation. Evolve or dissolve, y'all too. You know what I'm saying? Because look, first of all, kudos to them. They're 51. They've been married since they were 21. Now, that's a long time, and they were married, through their 20s and 30s.
Young, yeah,
relatively young in today's standards.
Who knows how long they were dating before?
Yeah,
they may not have had much life experience with other people.
Yeah, but again, I want to reiterate one point before we move on. Mm-hmm. I want to reiterate the fact that, especially as you get older, that one person, I don't know if the husband is unhealthy or not in shape, but if the wife is exercising and she's getting herself fly, you better stay fly. Same thing for women.
Yep.
Do yourself. You got to keep up with your partner because, yeah. Now, if y'all both want to fall off, fall off. It's all good. It's if you enjoy it. It ain't about looking fly and all that. If you together don't care and you wear holy t-shirts around and Netflix and chill and your raggedy clothes
happy.
And you happy, cool. Be happy. It's all good.
Right.
But one person can't be extra fly
on themselves,
and the other person
healthy, and the other person is
holy sweatpants. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Not gonna work.
Doritos. Mm-hmm. I mean, Doritos would be my choice. All right.
What else you got now?
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is a little lengthy, but anyway. So this is a 28-year-old male, mm-hmm. and he expected his girlfriend, who's 26, mm-hmm. to pay half of the utility bills plus a little extra. Mm-hmm. And she said that he wasn't serious about the relationship. Okay. Let's read on.
Wait. Go ahead.
Let me read so you can get the full context.
Yeah, please.
I've been with my girlfriend around a year and a half. Before we got together, I bought a house. So he has a house, which he currently lives in.
Okay, and he's 28?
He's 28. He has a mortgage and he pays it monthly. All right. Yeah. We were talking about moving in together, and we mentioned that it would make sense for her to move in to his place. She said it would be easier than finding somewhere that they can, live together. Mm-hmm. And it'll mean that we don't have to pay a deposit and all of that stuff, right? Yeah. Got it. It makes total sense.
Sure.
He agreed that it would be easier, and he had mentioned in terms of bills that it would make sense for her to pay half of the utilities and groceries and a small amount on top of that as a financial contribution, mm-hmm. similar to rent, similar to what he would be paying in mortgage maybe or something like that.
Yeah.
She asked if she was serious. She asked if she was serious, and I said, yeah, I expect her to pay half of the bills.
Right. Said she asked if he was serious.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, because he expects her to pay half of the bills and a small amount on top of that. Mm-hmm. She says she doesn't think it's right for her to have to pay me or pay half of the bills. Mm-hmm. She said that she should only pay a small percentage of bills, and that's that. Mm-hmm. So he asked if she thought it would be fair and why she thinks that she can live rent-free while other people pay her bills. Mm-hmm. She said, it sounds like I'm not being serious about them and that he's trying to make a profit off of her.
Whoa.
Somehow. But he argued that, basically she feels like he's taking advantage of her.
Okay. So just so I understand what you read. So 28-year-old, 26-year-old girl, right. 28-year-old man, 26-year-old girl. He's they're together. They're going to move in together. He asked her to pay
in his house.
In his house that he already had. He basically asking her to share some responsibility to the bills. She feels
it would be equivalent to him, paying the mortgage.
Right. Yeah, whatever the case is, right? She's going to come share some responsibility, right? Then she is saying that he doesn't seem serious.
Right.
Right? And he's trying to make a profit off of her.
Right.
So this leads into the conversation about money. And I think that in today's, like, again, we're going back to us. We've been married 10 years. And I think that today's relationships, as far as marriage, from what I see, a lot of people are worried about two things, and probably more than fidelity and cheating and commitment, more money.
Yeah.
Money is the biggest conversation.
Finances. Because
people are very, very selfish about their finances, men and women alike.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're very selfish about how they come into sharing life together, which I think is probably one of the biggest problems I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So my quick take on it is that the girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
if she wants to move in and the boyfriend is saying, okay, I want you to share some responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even sound like he's asking her for 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
He's just asking her to contribute half to the utilities.
Right.
And then on the mortgage to contribute a portion.
Yeah, a portion of the mortgage as well.
So my quick take on it, and I'll let you rock, is that I just think that if you meet a man, you're in your 20s, and you're a woman who's 26, you meet a man who's 28. You don't typically meet a lot of 28-year-old men who have a house already. Look, at the end of the look, in 2025, there's a lot of people who cannot even get the money together to get a house. So him having the wherewithal to get a house before 30 is great.
Yeah.
And it shows his level of responsibility and really someone you would want to try to build life with.
Yes. Right? Yep.
So for her to go ahead and try to move in with him and not be ready and willing to want to contribute is crazy to me.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I thought your phone was going off. No, I totally agree with you there. If y'all have been together for a year and a half and you're talking about moving forward together as a couple and making this something more serious, if a serious relationship is what you're looking for and you're moving in together, then of course you're going to share all financial responsibilities and try to make it as fair as possible. I don't think he's what he's presenting or what he's suggesting is unfair. It doesn't sound unfair. It feels like to me that she somehow feels like there's a personal attack there, or there's some kind of personal vendetta, some kind of other situation than what it is about her being taken advantage of. For some reason, she's come to that conclusion.
How dare you make me share in the responsibilities?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's part of building together. If she wasn't making maybe equally as much, or she, wasn't making as much money than say he was, then I can say that yes, maybe she should pay a little less and he pay a little more. But if you look at both finances and it's, pretty equivalent.
And that's what you mentioned the word fair a couple minutes ago. Like it's about fairness. Right. And I think couples know when you're talking about finances, I think couples know what's fair and unfair.
Yeah.
Once you've been together and you kind of know what both of y'all make, what's unfair.
Yeah.
If one person is paying the bills. Now, again, everybody have different perspectives on this, but my perspective is one person is paying the bills and that person has literally nothing left, and the other person has all this money left from their income. Something's off.
Yeah, something's off. You got to adjust that.
Now, there's some women who feel like, the man should pay everything regardless of the financial situation, and his money is our money and her money is her money.
And that conversation should be had before you proceed on to moving in together.
Here's the thing though. I've never seen a relationship work though. I see women say this stuff online. I think it's cool, but every woman who talks that I see
I don't think it's reality. I don't think it's realistic at all.
I don't know of any relationship in real life that works like that. Yeah. I think that most relationships they just work together with what they have as a unit. And I think that what the problem is, there's so much disinformation online. And the reason why I'm mentioning that, I think the girlfriend who's mentioned in this Reddit post is somebody who is listening to that perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like she's listening to that new school perspective. Like the new school perspective is like going back to the old school. It's like, well, the man should pay everything regardless, and it's based on this idea of old school, but that was when, we're going back when women were staying at home and not having any income.
Right. Exactly. So,
it's that's crazy, but it's even crazier that they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised. I mean, hopefully she smartens up, because I think she would miss out on a really good guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. 28 and you have a house and you paying a mortgage on it. And I mean, that's rare.
Yeah,
that's rare. So I hope she figures it out.
I hope she figures it out, because that's
rare. So Figure it out, girl.
Figure it out. Evolve your mind, 26-year-old girl, or dissolve, because
no, she has to evolve, because that kind of mindset isn't gonna work in any kind of relationship where she thinks that she doesn't have to put in an equal amount or a fair amount. You know what I mean? So that kind of mindset isn't going to work in any relationship. So she needs to evolve.
I would say she's not serious. Like for a woman to say, because I think her perspective is like, well, I'm with my boyfriend. He had a house before I met him, and we've been together a year and a half, and now he wants me to contribute because I'm moving in. But I guess her attitude is like, well, you are already paying everything before I moved in, which is true. But it's like, if you contribute, then we can build.
What are you going to do with your money? Just spend it?
Yeah, she like.
Are you just going to spend it on?
Yeah, she like
decorating the house and your lavish and luxurious lifestyle. Now that you got all this money that you don't have to pay bills for, you know.
She just want to pay her cell phone bill and call it a day.
Live a life. She want to live a life. She's like, oh, I'm about to travel.
I'm gonna pay my Verizon bill, and that's it. And I'm gonna travel, and then
when you're trying to combine life with somebody.
Amazon packages coming every day. Timo, not Timo? What's the one? Not Timo. Shein. What's the other one?
Temu.
Yeah. Temu. She about to have packages coming every day. She's like she's because she had no bills. So what else we got on the Reddit post? What's next? This
is gonna be the last one.
We're giving advice.
Last one for Reddit. All right, we're giving advice today, y'all.
Yeah.
Because we 10 years in.
We 10 years in and we know it all.
We've experienced enough. I feel like we can answer these.
That's a fact.
Fairly. Okay, 35-year-old female leaving my fiance, who's a 33-year-old male. Hello, everyone. I'm a mom of 2 beautiful girls, 4 months and almost 4 years old. I've been engaged to their father for almost 5 years. He is drinking excessively. It started to be a problem after the birth of our first daughter. Since then, he has stopped on and off, but never completely. He neglected me and our children. I am a sole provider as well. I do most of everything on my own. He decides to help once a week, maybe. I left his house and moved back into her own house with the girls. She felt instant peace and joy. But at the same time, she cannot stop thinking that we can try harder to make it work. I want him to come live with us, but at the same time, he needs to change everything. Is she going crazy? And she says, what's wrong with me?
Okay. All right. So the first thing that kind of stood out to me is that, and again, maybe it's just me, but I don't know anybody engaged for 5 years is weird to me. To me, I mean, honestly, you can't be engaged more than 2 years. Engaged more than 2 years, something is wrong. That's a red flag, in my opinion.
That is a red flag.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I ask a woman to marry me, I don't see us not being married 5 years later. I don't see it. So I think that's a red flag if you're a woman. Now, did she say in that story, were the kids his?
She did not say.
Assumed? She said
we're going to assume that they are his.
Say the first paragraph.
They've been together for, she's the mom of 2 beautiful girls, 4 months and almost 4 years old. Okay. And she's been engaged to their father.
Gotcha. Yes, okay.
For almost 5 years.
So that's the first thing. I mean, now what's wrong? I can't really knock her for trying to make it work because, obviously she have 2 kids.
Can't knock that.
You can't knock it.
Yeah.
But the whole engagement for 5 years is a red flag because you have the kids together and the man hasn't married you. Yeah. I'm not talking about the big,
big ceremony.
Yeah, the big ceremony and $100 a plate and all that.
The level of commitment.
Yeah, just the level of being married, just for tax purposes at minimum. Yeah. Just the contract.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to not do that is a red flag. So that's the first thing.
Right.
So, and then the drinking excessively. These are things that evolve that are bad through a relationship. So he obviously has some issues. But her trying to make it work, I ain't mad at it. But I don't know. Again, like if someone is engaged to you and they don't marry you,
I would say this one is it should be dissolved.
It
should be dissolved because number one, he's not putting a clear effort to making this a family. unit. He's there, but he's not doing much. And he has a drinking problem.
Right.
So I don't think that's beneficial for the children. It's not beneficial for you because he doesn't sound like he's doing much around the house to help. And I don't even know if he's working. Don't sound like he's working either. Yeah. So you're out of the house. Your initial instinct or your initial feeling of moving out of that situation was peace and joy. That should tell you something right there. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have it and make it work. But when you have someone who is not willing to meet you halfway, they're going to have to realize it on their own time that, maybe I should have made it work. So I think at this time, it's best to dissolve that relationship until he proves himself otherwise with wanting to be involved with raising a family.
And she's 35 and he's 33, you said?
She's 35 and he's 33.
So here's the thing that that I think that they the concept of marry before you carry or marry right after you carry. So the thing about it is that once you have the kids into play, you got to make sure that you have the structure of at least the commitment of that relationship together once you bring the kids in. Because again, I give her credit because a lot of people would have just walked away from that situation earlier, but it's because of because of the kids, I think, and also the fact they've been engaged. So there's this idea of a promise to get married, but you just haven't done it. So that one, I think, that's pretty much an obvious one. What are any comments under that one?
Oh, I mean, I would have to go into Reddit to actually
read
comments.
I mean, the comments are, girl, you should have
be like, I think I read one comment. It was like, you got to move on. Like, they were basically saying, I think that was the first comment. You just got to move on. If he's not willing to put effort into raising the family, being, a father and a husband, then you got to move on and do what's best for you and them girls. Yeah,
you definitely do. And I think that people are definitely afraid of marriage now. At least it seems that way, right? So, being married for 10 years now for us, I just think that we've learned a lot in the sense of the reality of what it is and what it ain't, right? And I think one thing for us that we try to do is we try to bond on things that we agree on, bond on like major things. Because like a lot of little things can destroy your marriage. No question. Little things can. But also you got to have some big things that you bond on and some things that you care about. So with that couple you just talked about, the family structure isn't strong on both sides. She wanted more than he do.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's something. Let me go into one more clip before we wrap this up. Okay. So I want to go into, now this is the thing that I think is scary for young men. Now, I don't think this affects the average person. I'm just prefacing this because the average person does not have money. However, I think what scares young men now is that the family court laws and the way marriage penalizes men a lot if it does dissolve scares men, and particularly men who have some resources. So I'm not going to play K. Michelle's clip, but K. Michelle was all over the internet last week. She was on Cam Newton's show talking about how, she was basically saying, well, when are all the black men going to step up to create nuclear families? And she said black successful men, which basically is code for men with money, right? Men with resources.
I would say that she's not worried about the dusties. Men in general.
Should be men in general.
Right.
But she's talking about Cam Newton and the Nick Cannons, the guys who have multimillionaires and they have a lot of different child mothers, right? So, but anyway, the point is that she was all over the internet because she was talking about, she now had moved to Nashville and she's doing country music, and she's like, well, I see white men with their families all the time, and and all it was reckless. But I did a whole reaction video on it. But to have the conversation, I ain't mad at it. I'm okay with those conversations because we should have them. But when you start to talk about marriage and what happens when it's dissolved, this is what is causing, I think, men with resources to be like, I'm not getting married, or they end up, multiple baby mothers but no rings.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, all that to say, I'm gonna go to Eddie Curry. So Eddie Curry played basketball. He played with the Bulls initially. So he was drafted in 2001, played for the Bulls until 2005. Then he played for the Knicks and he played for the Miami Heat. But all of that doesn't really matter. The point of why I brought him up is that Eddie Curry has a lot of money. He signed a $14 million contract in high school. He went from high school to the NBA, and he married his best friend in high school. He married her. They were best friends since third grade, according to him.
Okay.
So he married her. His agent is like, what the hell are you doing, my man? So he married her before he signed the contract. So he signs the contract, and basically his agent was like, well, two things could happen. Either this thing could get annulled, right? We could either get this thing annulled, or if we can't get it annulled, you're going to pay a lot of money, because I guess soon after he wanted to get out of the marriage or whatever, or the marriage, whatever, it wasn't working. And I think they were about to have one child. He said he married her because he wanted to do the right thing. She was pregnant.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to marry her.
Okay, so he wanted to do the right thing.
He wanted to marry her and be with her.
Okay, got it.
And I guess they had been friends for a long time. But I guess once he got into the NBA, whenever the marriage was going to be over, he thought that it was going to be a very simple exit. Obviously, he was going to pay her child support and alimony or whatever.
How long in between of them getting married and them getting it annulled, or
of them wanting to end the relationship?
Yeah.
I don't.
Years?
Well, I have the clip from Vlad. I don't know if it was years.
Okay.
If I had to guess, it might have been a couple years, maybe a year or two.
Oh, okay.
So
and he decided to dissolve it because.
So here's what happened. So I guess they wanted to get the divorce, but she dragged her feet, and she was. Some people would say she was smart.
Who wanted to get the divorce? He did, or they both did?
I think they both did.
Okay.
But she dragged her feet on the divorce because she understood that.
Yeah, he's about to come into some major money.
Not only that, but she dragged her feet on the contracts he was signing, the endorsements. It's all considered marital property.
Right. And it would have to be divided.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she dragged her feet a couple of years on the divorce.
Ah, okay.
And he didn't believe that she was going to do that because he felt like they were good friends.
Right.
He felt like they wanted to end the relationship, but it would be amicable.
Right.
And she wasn't going to try to gouge him to death on the money.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, he's making decisions strategically, and she's making decisions strategically.
So here's the thing. So I guess my question is that if you marry a woman, you have a child together young, you get married, and you realize, okay, I want to exit the relationship. I guess my point is that when men want to exit a marriage and they have resources, and I'm not talking about somebody where you've built together, you've been with her 10, 15 years like we've been together, and then I have all this money, and now I'm like, yeah, I want to go. See ya, I'll just give you a little $100,000 while I have 10 billion. No, that's
I'm right behind
you. Yeah, but
Where you going?
rightfully so, because you built with me. But he's talking about. I think this was it within 1 year they wanted to dissolve it. So if you're a young man, you marry a woman, and you just sign on to a big contract, and you want to exit the marriage, amicably, is the woman does she have a right to half of what you did and half of your endorsements and all that? And I won't even play the Vlad video because I went through the gist of it.
Yeah.
Also, now keep in mind, he entered the NBA 24 years ago. This is 2025. He entered in 2021. So there's a couple of things that happened. He actually was like, throughout the time, because their son, I think, just turned 18. Okay. So he had been giving her money throughout this time in cash as well. Okay. Just giving her money. And later on, right before the son turned 18, she took him to court for back child support, saying that, he owed her all this stuff. And he's like, he went to the judge. He said, look, judge, I have I have receipts that I've been giving her child support, cashier's checks and all this stuff. And the judge was like, no, if you didn't pay it through the system, it's a gift.
Man, wow.
So they asked the mom, I guess they the baby's mother or his ex-wife, just to see if she could corroborate that it was child support. No, she's like, she let the judge determine that those payments were gifts. Right. And now the kicker, he has a pension. She's going after half of his pension. She was married to him 25 years ago.
Wow.
Can't say, you know what? Let me just keep it moving. So is it about the child?
Nah.
Now, and another part of the story is that the son, she had kicked the son out when the son got a little older. And at some point he went to go live with Eddie Curry. And I think that was at the time where he was still giving her some money. But anyway, the point of it is that these are the stories that I think that you have this whole demographic of younger men who are like, when I go through to read the comments, I mean, these are people who don't have no money, right? Everyday people. Right. Like, I ain't getting married. I'm gonna take my little $70,000 a year and just be to myself, and I'm not marrying.
Ain't no reason to come to the conclusion that you ain't gonna get married.
But men, see, here's the thing. I'm just saying,
men with money who are in situations and circumstances like that, yes, I think they should protect themselves.
But it's not even just that. What it is that when you compare it to men with less resources, you have men that are homeless who can't afford to live because it's so imbalanced. Once you do get a divorce, it's imbalanced. Whatever little stuff you do have, your little house, your little whatever, it's just not fair. So I think that has to be examined, because men are scared of marriage. And the conversation now is that women have more incentive to leave the marriage. There's incentives for women to end the marriages, particularly if you have a lot of money. So I think men should protect themselves. But I say all this to say that the sanctity of marriage needs to be a little more. It needs to stop penalizing men if you exit a marriage.
Especially when you're exiting a marriage so early on, you certainly don't deserve half of.
Right. I think it should be based on time, right?
Yeah, time will. That should matter. That should matter.
Yeah, it should matter. Like,
it definitely should matter.
How could you be married a year and then how could you be married 1 year and then you're like, I'm getting half of everything you do forever?
Yeah, that's just
not right.
Yeah, that certainly isn't.
That's
fair.
wrong, and it's just not about the children. So I think that those things, I mentioned all this because I think that the family court laws are damaging younger men's view towards marriage. They're starting to look at marriage like, I'm gonna be done really dirty if this goes wrong, and that makes younger men say, I'm not entering into it at all. I'm not taking the risk. So I think that part is sad.
That part is sad.
So
yeah, trying to think, what can I can't really add much to that. That part is sad, and
that needs to evolve.
That definitely needs to evolve.
Yeah,
some changes need to be made there.
Family court, custody, and marriage laws have to stop penal. I understand.
I mean, that's not something I even thought about whenever I was for a husband.
No.
To get married. You know what I'm saying? So
you're not that type of. I don't think most women are like that. But I think what happens, in my opinion, is that when marriages dissolve, there are a lot of really vindictive women that'll be like, you know what? I know I don't need all this and need all that, but I'm gonna, especially if they are angry at the man and they didn't leave if the man cheated or they whatever it is, they are angry at the man.
Yeah,
it's in the benefit. So it's that's a sad thing, because there was a time when men had everything, and that's why they had the scales tipped towards the woman.
Right.
And I think that they have to update that, So luckily for that, time
invested. That sounds fair.
Yeah, it should be time invested.
Time invested in the marriage, for sure.
Listen, those little basketball girls, they be trying to
don't last long.
They be like,
marriages don't last.
They don't last long at all. They're like, I'm about to stay until he get this contract, and then it gets crazy. But what do you do?
Okay,
but anyway, We are 10 years in. Thank God we're not in the situation that some of the other situations that y'all are in. So if you in those bad situations, evolve or dissolve. If it's small stuff, learn to get through it.
Try to evolve.
And you know, if you have money and you're a man, be careful of being a meal ticket. It's a treacherous game out here. So, you know, yeah.
Take care of yourself.
Take care. And Godspeed.
Godspeed.
All right. This is the Crucial Convo Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. If you hadn't hit the subscribe button, hit that. Turn on your notifications. Check out my beautiful wife at
Have Faith Yoga.
Everything. It'll be in the link. It'll be in the description.
You'll see it down there.
All right. You guys enjoy. Thanks for tuning in. Holla at you later. Peace.
Bye.